Hey guys, how are you? Welcome back to my channel on the following pages. Today's book is The Brothers Karamazov by Dostoyevsky. So, this book was published in about 1880. The Brothers Karamazov stands as Dostoyevsky's magnum opus, a sprawling philosophical and psychological novel, a narrative that explores the nature of faith, doubt, and free will, guilt, and redemption. Set against the backdrop of 19th century Russia, the novel examines the tensions between the spiritual longing and earthly desires embodied in the lives of this family, which is mentioned in the novel. And more than a murder, mystery, or family drama, it is a theological and philosophical treatise clothed in poetic narrative. Now I'm going to talk about some of the symbolism that is mentioned in the novel. Is that there are three brothers which are mentioned, and Dmitri is basically the sensualist. Like he senses things. He's sort of like he represents the body, and he represents unstrained passion. And then comes the Ivan, who is the intellectual of the family. And he embodies the mind and the burden of rationalism, skepticism, and atheism. And then comes Alyosha, the monk, the religious, theological, intellectual person. He sort of symbolizes the soul, compassion, and spiritual aspiration. And then comes their father, Pavlovich, and he symbolizes base hedonism and the moral decay of man absent faith. His murder is not merely a crime in the novel, it's an allegory of the patricide against the Divine Father. And then comes the Grand Inquisitor. And the story within the novel is like the character in this novel, the Grand Inquisitor, is that he is a profound symbol of a religion's betrayal of Christ's message. And it critiques the church's manipulation of power under the guise of divine order. And then comes Zosima's corpse. And its unexpected decay becomes a symbol of delusionment and the paradox of faith. And not all spiritual truth is vindicated by physical miracles. And then comes some of the philosophical references that are mentioned in the novel, is that Nietzsche, though younger than Dostoevsky, Nietzsche admired him deeply. The concept of God is dead is central to the Nietzsche's philosophy, and in his narrative we can see that is embodied in Ivan's struggle. Ivan's moral nihilism, particularly in the chapter Rebellion, prefigures existential dread and the rejection of divine justice. Now comes Jean. Jean's belief in the innate goodness of man is challenged, though the depravity of characters like Fyodor and Samerdikov, Dostoevsky exposes the capacity for evil latent in all humans. And then comes Immanuel Kant and rationalism. Ivan's logical problem of evil: if God is good and all-powerful, why does he permit suffering? Challenges the theodicy and reveals the limitations of human reason to grasp divine mysteries. Now, I would like to also mention how the book is related to Abrahamic religions. Christ as the archetype. Christ's silent suffering and love, especially in the Grand Inquisitor, critiques the perversion of divine love by religious authority, echoing themes common to all Abrahamic faiths regarding divine justice and mercy. And then comes Isaac and Abraham. A symbology that is used in the novel is that the theme of the father-son relationship and the willingness to sacrifice permeates the novel. Dmitri's internal struggle and Ivan's hatred toward his father echo the dynamics of the Abrahamic sacrifice narrative, though inverted, as the son resists the father rather than submit. Then comes the redemption through suffering, a central motive in Christianity. It is paralleled in Islamic and Judaic traditions, where trials are viewed as pathways to purification. Alyosha, Zosima, and even Dmitri embrace suffering as redemptive. And then comes Samerdikov as Cain, like Cain and Abel's story. Like Cain killing Abel, this character, murder of Fyodor Pavlovich, the father, mirrors the sin and archetype. Now comes Samerdikov as Cain, like the story of Cain and Abel, the first murder. Like Cain killing Abel, Samarkandov, murder of Fyodor Pavlovich, mirrors the sin, an archetype across the Abrahamic corpus. Now, what are the poetic and literary references that are related to this novel is that biblical language, Zosima's sermons and Alyosha's reflections borrow heavily from plasms, and proverbs and gospels not only in the content but in the cadence. Epic tone, like Homer or Dante, Dostoevsky paints with broad spiritual and moral strokes. The novel itself can be seen as a divine comedy of the soul, descending through sin, Dmitri, wandering in doubt, Ivan, and aspiring toward grace, Alyosha. Then Russian folklore and oral traditions, echoes of fairy tales, riddles, and folk superstition enrich the novel's texture and give it a mythic undertone. Then some are like the cultural traditions are referenced in the novel is that Russian Orthodox monasticism. Through elders Zosima and Alyosha, the novel penetrates the mystical and ascetic elements of orthodoxy, emphasizing confession, humility, and communal living. Now there are some universal archetypes also mentioned: the story of the prodigal son, the temptation of Christ, and the fall echo throughout, rendering the Russian setting and everman's landscape for spiritual conflict. Then comes the structure of the book, is that it is divided in 4 parts plus an epilogue. These sections chart the psychological and moral journeys of the main characters, culminating in a courtroom drama that feels almost biblical in its judgment and mercy. Multiple narrators and voices are also, in a way, in this narrative. Like, the novel moves between third-person narration, internal monologues, dialogue, and embedded stories, such as the Grand Inquisitor, creating a polyphonic tapestry of voices, what Michael Bakhtin calls dialogism, a hallmark of Dostoyevsky's style. Literary symmetry is also the structure of the book. The 3 brothers serve as a triadic structure mirroring body, mind, and soul, while secondary characters serve as distortions or affirmations of these idols. Courtroom as the climax is seen I've noticed is the structure of the book. You know, the courtroom is basically the climax of the novel, of the story of the narrative, is that the legal trial operates as a moral and theological tribunal. Truth is not determined solely by evidence, but by conscious faith and the mystery of human intent. Now we head over to the second part of my video, where I share different poets, different songs, or something traditional narrative from different cultural traditions. So I'm going to share a little poetry, a song, a kavali, which is said by Mehdi Hasan. It goes like, "Ye log patthar ke dil hain, जिनके नुमाइशे रंग में हैं डूबे, ये कागजी फूल जैसे चेहरे मजाक उड़ाते हैं आदमी का, इन्हें कोई काश ये बता दे मकाम ऊंचा है सादगी का, इन्हें बला जख्म की खबर क्या, ये तीर चलते हुए ना देखा, उदास आंखों में आरजू का खून जलते हुए ना देखा, अंधेरा छाया है इनके आगे हसीन गफलत की रोशनी का, ये कागजी फूल." So I would like to give you guys an English translation. It's a really huge a poem, basically a song sung by Mehdi Hasan, but I'm just gonna give you a little part of it. I will be making a separate videos on Mehdi Hasan's poetry, so that you can get a full video of full understanding of his whole song. But I'm just gonna tell you, convey to you a little part from his poetry. I'm gonna convert it into English translation. It goes like, "These people, their hearts are like stone, immersed in the display of color and fashion. These paper flower-like faces, they mock the essence of being human. If only someone would tell them that simplicity holds the highest rank. What do they know of wounds and pain? They never seen arrows fly or strike. They have never seen desire burn silently. In eyes filled with sorrow, they're blinded by the dazzling light of a beautiful but ignorant illusion, these paper flower-like faces." So what it means is that the paper flowers symbolize fake beauty. They look appealing but are lifeless, scentless, and soulless. The poet compares these shallow, emotionless people to such flowers, attractive yet devoid of real feeling. Then Patthar ke dil, stone hearts. The people the poet speaks of are unfeeling, unempathetic. They are caught up in appearances and material displays, numaish-e rang, and have lost touch with inner virtues. मजाक उड़ाते हैं आदमी का. The poet accuses them of mocking genuine humanity, suggesting that authentic emotion, honesty, and vulnerability are now subjects of ridicule. Maqam ऊंचा है सादगी का. The central moral line, true honor lies in simplicity, not in pomp, show, or self-importance. उदास आंखों में आरज़ू का खून जलते हुए. A powerful image of hope dying quietly in sorrowful eyes, a pain these shallow people will never recognize. So this was just a small part of the poetry by Mehdi Hasan. If you guys like the poetry, I will be making another video. Do let me know if you guys need me to make an analysis on any other book that you would like to read or you have already read and you would like my opinion or my analysis on it, and any other poetry or narrative or anything you guys want me to talk about, please leave that in the comments below, how I can make the videos better. I would really appreciate if you guys tell me that too. So see you in the next video, guys. Have a great day.